Hello.
Hello. Hi, good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to Design Advisory Panel on June 26, 2025. First, just a bit of light housekeeping. Today, there's no meeting minutes, so you don't have to go over those, but I'd like to pose a motion to approve today's agenda as presented. Okay, Angie, seconder Harry, all in favor? Okay, wonderful. Today we have one presentation on a property at 2230 Boxwood Road. Peyton Carter, as our city planner, will give an introduction. Peyton, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Development permit application DP 1386 is phase one of a multifamily development with 211 units and a combination of 2 apartment buildings and 7 townhouse units. The development forms part of the Midtown Gateway improvements. The subject property is zoned mixed-use corridor, Core 2, and falls within development permit area 4, abandoned mine workings hazard, and development permit area 8, our form and character development permit area. As such, the general development permit area design guidelines apply. I'm happy to take any questions following the applicant's presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Great. And who will be presenting this evening?
Hi, my name is Neil Banich with WA Architects. I'm the design director and I'll be presenting the project.
Great, Neil. Okay, share your screen when ready and go ahead.
And my associate Alex he'll be running the slideshow as I kind of walk through the slides.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to go?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. These are always kind of interesting doing these over Zoom because I'm never really sure who I'm talking to. So I'll just flip through the slides and just kind of walk you through what we're doing here. So Alex, maybe flip through. So our site is kind of the newly created parcel. It's resulted from the construction of the new Boxwood connector. So we feel that this central site is going to be ideally suited to support additional density. And through that, we're going to provide a variety of housing options. So if we flip to the next one. So our site plan is somewhat constrained by existing conditions. The northern portion, which you can see shaded in red, presents a lot of very poor soils conditions for construction. As well, we have a continuous 3-meter setback, and this site had a requirement for 2 plazas, one at the northwest and one at the southwest. So within those constraints, it really kind of dictated how this site was going to be laid out, and all of these were heavy factors within the building arrangement. So one of the key considerations in this design was the ability to phase this development, both above grade and below grade. So through that, we've got a new connector road that connects north-south through our site, or through half of our site and half of what will be the future site. And it's off the center of that road that we'll have our access directly in. Through the access, you have the opportunity to go right or left into some small surface fields or continue straight down to our lower parkade. The configuration would allow us to access the parking and the below grade parking without having to kind of wind your way through surface parking. So it's very convenient to get in and out, and it does facilitate the ability for us to phase. Pedestrian movement through the site is facilitated by a combination of dedicated walkways and shared surfaces within the parking areas. We feel that it's going to be a very low volume surface parking with mostly visitors. So we feel the ability to kind of walk on dedicated walkways and through the parking itself is an appropriate solution for this site. The loading areas for each of these buildings are located close to their respective entrances. Notably, Building A, we actually have the loading area on the plaza surface, but it's important to note that that loading does not take away from the requirement for the plaza space, but in fact, when it's not being used, actually adds additional plaza space. These units are not intended to be rental, they would be strata. So we feel the frequency of move in, move out would be very limited. So the ability to use that space for plaza more often than it's needed for loading, we thought was a great solution to both loading and adding additional plaza space. The loading area for Building B is actually a pullout within our new northwest connector road, so that one really has no inherent issues with the site itself. So going down to the parkade, again, you can see by the constraints that we have with this parkade is actually as big as we can make it given the constraints that we have to deal with. So that allows for the maximum amount of parking stalls below grade. And as well, you can see the phase line in there. Alex, maybe you can just run the cursor along so they can easily see it. So it would be a knockout panel situation where we could build phase one, then build phase two. All the additional parking will be going on the surface, which is not a lot. I think we have roughly 30 or 40 stalls up on the surface. We are looking for a small variance of roughly 37 stalls, and we're hoping to offset this reduction. We're proposing some shared EV vehicles such as Evo, and even with the variance, the project still maintains a 1 per unit ratio. And this really seems to align with ongoing trends we're seeing in many municipalities, both in the Lower Mainland and Vancouver Island. So we're pretty confident that this project will be well served with the ratio we're proposing. The building layouts, we've really tried to emphasize a variation and articulation in the facades to kind of create visual interest. The unit mix within these is going to be a diverse range, everything from small studios up to larger 3-bedroom units. And as well as noted, we do have the 7 townhouse units as well. And to ensure the construction efficiency, all our unit types are stacked throughout this project. Our objective, particularly in today's uncertain market that we're building in, is we really want to deliver some efficient and economically viable project. And we still want to maintain some architectural character, but we want to ensure that this product is attainable for everybody trying to get into the market. So looking at our sections, all of our units that are fronting public streets will provide direct street access, and the units facing the internal courtyard they'll have more generous landscaping and separation from the parking to kind of enhance the livability within that. All of the units, we've strived to keep them slightly above grade where they interface with the street. At the worst, they're almost flush with maybe just a little bit of raised landscaping between the patios and the parking areas in the back. The building heights on this project are 18 meters, which does comply with the zoning allowance due to our 75% of our parking being below grade. The only rooftop projection would be the elevator overrun, which is a permitted encroachment within the zone. So flipping over to the elevations. So a core design principle in this was balancing the construction efficiency with our high degree of design. The palette's intentionally simple. We're using a kind of a sophisticated contrast of dark and light tones. The darker facade elements are articulated to help create a sense of movement within the building, while the lighter areas are going to provide a visual relief and a backdrop. This interplay will help kind of break down the massing. These are relatively long buildings, and I think this play of dark and light will really break down the massing. We've also created some variation in the balcony treatments. We've got some picket balconies interplayed with some glass balconies. The material selections will include a smooth finish cementitious panel with organized panel lines for the lighter areas, and we're going to contrast that with dark corrugated metal cladding. And at the pedestrian levels and within that dark corrugated, we're going to punctuate that with simulated wood finishes to help bring a little bit of warmth to the building. We feel that the palette's deliberately restrained. We wanted to ensure that there's visual cohesion for the entire project and really reduce the feel of clutter. We wanted to focus on more of a timeless combination of black and white with wood tones. And we really think that this look will help the project age gracefully and maintain its architectural integrity well into the future. So as we kind of flip through these slides, you can see this is a view kind of looking from the new Boxwood traffic circle. And maybe flip down to the next one. So this is our main one from the intersection of Northfield and Boxwood, looking one of our public plazas, and the walkways in between. Going down Northfield, this is at the intersection of our new interconnected north-south road with Northfield. And then we continue up. That's the access point into the project off of the new north-south road. The next one is kind of up, looking southwest along the new connector road. And those are the townhouses at the back you see. And one more shot just kind of looks from or the new connector road looking into our site, looking south, showing the courtyard and all the parking that we have within there. And at this point, I'll hand it over to our landscape architect who will walk through the landscape concept.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Neil. It's always a pleasure to work with WA, and certainly I've known Neil for a long time. This one's been a great collaboration, and we've actually worked back and forth quite a bit on making the design typologies match. So our design rationale is essentially the landscape architecture design approach draws from the strong geometric and color expressions of the building facade materials that Neil just outlined. These geometric patterns are reflected on the ground plane of the plaza spaces when viewed from residential units above, realizing a unified design typology unique to the site. That same geometry has been employed in the detailed plaza design to define nodal spaces with changes in paving in a natural color palette ranging from charcoal to chocolate. The Northwest Plaza provides barrier-free access and a clear wayfinding to building entries while providing the requisite, and by requisite I mean required through a previously agreed amenity contribution, programming, which is a flexible space to serve a range of informal uses, seating, gathering, and passive recreation, as well as observation. The Southwest Plaza provides additional landscape buffering from the busy Northfield Road intersection through staggered raised planters, and formal hedging that creates an additive three-dimensional expression to our rectilinear design geometry. The programming is similar to the Northwest Plaza with the addition of more reflective space that embraces the public art installation, and we've also included a picnic table there as well, so arts and crafts and lunch, what have you. Just a note on the side, we will be exploring adding small-scale furniture, more benches and picnic tables once scale and location of the art installation has been determined and approved by city staff. For the public art component, the owners have engaged a local Indigenous artist, and you can see on the last slide the first iteration of that in an early concept. The balance of the landscape design considers standard approaches for multifamily developments, such as privacy for ground level units, low-level bollard lighting for wayfinding, screening where vehicle headlights could shine into ground level windows, etc. And I'll end it there. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for a thorough presentation. So we'll get started. But first of all, to panel members, are there any questions for staff? Okay, so the next part
I
is...
have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. But I do have a question. So my main question is, Neil, you said you were, because you're looking for a variance with the parking stalls. You said you were looking to get like Evo car share in there. I'm just curious, like, how far along are you in those discussions? Have you sealed that deal, or because I know it can be a challenge to find car share programs, especially up here in Nanaimo. So I'm just curious, like how far along you are with that.
Absolutely. And maybe I could just pass that to Isabella and she could answer.
Yeah, happy to speak to that. No, I can definitely echo your comment on it being a challenge to get an agreement for car share. So we have been working with Evo and we're just kind of going through the final details of a contract. But they are actually quite eager to have it in this area. So we are really lucky and we're excited for this.
Awesome. That's great. Great to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Alex.
I have a question for city staff just about the tree replacement count. I noticed that the number of trees required for replacement don't equal the numbers provided, and then I'm just curious how that works, City of Nanaimo.
Sure, thank you, Kate. And through the chair, we do accept cash in lieu for a certain number of trees when the total tree replacement can't be achieved on site. Of course, we encourage tree replacement to occur as much as possible and meet the landscaping regulations, and then we can accept cash in lieu where those numbers can't be achieved.
Right. Is there a minimum number, like ratio that has to be achieved of the
I don't
removed
believe
versus
so,
proposed?
no.
Okay.
These details are typically ironed out further down in the process at the building permit stage where it goes through design stage acceptance. We can look at things like frontage and where we can accommodate additional street trees and things like that.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Anybody else? Okay, thanks, Peyton. The next part of this is the panel has the opportunity to ask questions and give feedback. Angie, would you like to lead off with some feedback?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, thanks for the presentation. And thanks, Chair. I've got a few comments and then and a few questions as well. So I'll go through, yeah, maybe some of the comments first, and then jump around a little bit here. But yeah, it's great to see this site getting some attention. I think it is a really prominent site in the city, so it'll be a big improvement to have something there for sure. And I think the ground connections through the units are really well done, and that's going to be useful for many occupants there. So that's great. I was curious. So if this is phase one, do we know what's planned for phase two? Or the adjacent site there?
So phase two is actually under the ownership of a different group. We have worked with that group in the past on doing some preliminary work with them. I can't speak to what they might be thinking of today, but in the past, when we started this project, we had looked at that site also being a residential site, but maybe focusing more towards a rental versus a strata.
Right. Okay. Great. Yeah. Okay, that's helpful. And I guess, yeah, one item for the townhouse location, I was just curious if it was considered to put that with a boxwood connector frontage rather than the kind of internal aisle between the sites.
Well, interesting enough, those kind of laid themselves out when you look at the available parcels that we had to work with. And, initially when we had laid this out, we weren't even contemplating townhomes, but given the shape of the property and trying to stay out of the bad soils, it just presented itself as a great opportunity. And typically their frontages are onto our new connector road, and their back patios, etc., are more into our courtyard. It's quite a narrow facade that faces the connector with a limited amount of windows at that end.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see that there, the soil conditions. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that's great. And then just for the siding panel material, is that I know like there's a wood look. What kind of material is that?
It's going to be, there's quite a few different materials available that accomplish the same thing. We know it could be a cementitious style panel. It could be an aluminum one. We haven't really nailed that down yet. we're working in a time when construction costs are a challenge. So as we're working through with the ownership group and their construction company, we're going to be looking at a variety of different materials, but the end goal will be to achieve that kind of feeling of warmth in wood, whether it be cementitious or maybe aluminum.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think that, like I said, I think this is a great project for the site. I think it would be nice, given the proximity to Bevan Park and some of the other amenities in the area. It would be nice to see more three-bedroom, and some of the larger units. I think this is a really family-oriented area. I mean, there's obviously a diverse population, but I think there's a real opportunity here to have more of those in the building A and B, as well as, of course, the townhomes as well, but have them. But yeah, more in A and B. So if there's any opportunities there, I think to increase that, that would be, I think that would be a big benefit for the community. I also, yeah, I think the overall look and feel, I think it's a really nice looking building. I think I'm struggling to put it into that neighborhood. And that's, I think it's still an area that it's changing a lot, obviously, but there are still a lot of single family homes, 1 and 2 story, commercial spaces nearby, and they're very like neutral palettes. So I think that if there's an opportunity to, maybe consider for the black and white, maybe thinking of more of neutral tones, I think that would suit the context of this neighborhood a bit better, at least, for the time being. And obviously, yeah, there's lots going on there, and there has been for a while, but it's now is kind of when buildings are starting to pop up. But it would be nice to see, I think, a bit more neutral, um, yeah, neutral color palette for these. Um, Also, I think with the townhomes, if we go maybe to the render of the townhomes, um, I guess kind of similar. This is kind of a mixed area, commercial, and obviously Boxwood has a lot of industrial as well. But I think this has a bit of an industrial look to it. And I think if there's an opportunity to kind of give it a bit more of a residential feel, I think that would be, um, yeah, a bit more beneficial to this particular part of this road and this area. Um, Again, I think it's a really nice looking building. It's just trying to fit it into this particular area of the city. Um, I think there was a staff comment about considering maybe some more programming in the plazas, and I agree. Something I think like maybe could be helpful here is maybe like some community gardens or um, yeah, just a way to kind of connect to that landscaping and the nature that's there. Um, to like just promote a bit more activity as well. Da, da, da. I had a look at the bike racks, and it looks like they are two points of connection bike racks, which we like to see. So just something to maybe just double check if on that. And then also the temporary bike parking or the short-term bike parking, it didn't look like it was covered. I'm not sure if the plan is to cover it, but yeah, that would be something I would recommend if it isn't already. Um, and in terms of the parking variance, I'm actually okay with the parking variance in this particular area. I think it is a very cycling and transit-oriented area, so I think that's fine there. It would be nice to see an increase in bike parking spots, as a bit of a balance with that. This is close to the Parkway Trail and other trails, so it would be great to, yeah, great to really encourage users to use that network as well. I think that's all the comments I had. Yeah, I think, like I said, just thanks for the presentation, and overall, it's really exciting to see something going here, and I'll be looking forward to seeing this one move through the next stages. Thanks, Chair.
Great, thank you, Angie. Hillary, is she in? Okay, Hector?
Yeah.
Oh, Hillary is here? Okay.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. Yeah, really appreciate the presentation and happy to see more density in this area. Honestly, I don't have much that wouldn't be doubling up on comments that have already been covered. So I really appreciate that. And oh, I just lost my notes here. So if I have anything else, I will jump back in. But I did note the additional 3 bedrooms would be great, and I was really happy to hear about the Evo car share partnership. So thanks for working on that. I'll leave it at that for now, unless I think of anything else. Thank you.
Thanks, Hillary. Hector?
Hey, thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the comments that being said I agree with those comments. I think my only concern, and maybe the applicant can talk more about it, is like the facades on the plazas. I was just looking at the renderings, and they look a little bit too flat with the small windows. And also because there's no retail on the ground level, I'm just concerned that those plazas are gonna be like kind of almost like an abandoned place. So I don't know if there's like a way on the treatment of the facade, or again, that can activate more the plaza. And again, that's similar to the comments from the previous comments that, hey, yeah, those plazas probably need something else to be more active. And again, I guess that's my only comment. I mean, it's a nice building, and again, that's a great site. It's kind of on the middle of the city. So again, I don't have any issues with the variance for the parking.
Okay, thank you, Hector. So your comment is to maybe add some windows to help activate that facade along the plazas?
I wouldn't say if it's windows. I think it's just most the treatment of the facade. Maybe it could be like some public art or some special lighting. Right now, I know the applicant was talking about like have a very cohesive design of the building, which I agree, and that's nice. I just, yeah, mainly looking at the side, the northwest perspective. I don't know, it's page A500. Yeah, that corner, yeah, just looks very flat. I mean, I know we have they have the balconies, but between the white and black, it just, I don't know. Seems that something more can happen with the massing or with the with the materials of the facade. I don't know. I don't know how to frame it as a comment to the applicant. Anyways, I think I will just leave it like outside of the formal minutes of the meeting. But yeah. Anyways, that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hector. Would the applicant please stop sharing screen just for a second? Thank you. Oh, okay. Great, thank you. Harry, do you have comments?
Yes, I do. Building 1 and 2 are great. I like the metal corrugated cladding and the wood grain siding are a good touch. I agree with Angie with the townhomes. They kind of look institutional even. Maybe add some step parapets or some slight overhangs to visually separate the units. Actually, it just looks like a big plain block. Very uniform. Landscaping, I like the landscaping. That's good, and good with the parking variance. It's pretty minimum, and where you're priced towards the housing affordability over parking. That's a good touch. And that's about all I got. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you, Harry. Alex?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I was just wondering, can you confirm for me if there's is there retail or any sort of other use in these buildings?
No, this is all strictly residential.
Okay, great. Thank you. I personally would like to see some sort of commercial space. You know, it is in the mixed use corridor, future land use designation. However, I like the building. I don't think that should be like a deal breaker in any way. And I do understand how when you have commercial spaces, you know, the parking requirements can go up for that commercial space. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of touch on that. But I like the building. Think it looks good. Because it's right off the highway, it's kind of like almost welcomes you to that part of the city when you're coming off the highway. So in that southwest corner, like you said, I think you're going to put public art there. I think that's a really good opportunity to put something distinct that kind of pops and really people can use as like a wayfinding type thing. And also as a way to like kind of welcome people into that area. And yeah, I think it looks good, and I look forward to seeing this get built. And it's exciting to see more people coming into this part of the city where before there was nothing. So thanks for the presentation.
Thank you, Alex. Jessica? Is she in?
She was. I'm not sure.
Okay, maybe we'll hold off, and maybe Kate, could you proceed?
Great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'd echo the city's comments, and I, as well as yes, the thoughts about the plazas. I'm a little concerned that they are going to be dead spaces. I think looking at a bit more programming to draw people to occupy these spaces besides just benches. Yeah, I think they might just become a smoking corner currently. So I'd recommend looking into that. To the same vein, thinking, you know, one of the ways it could also improve, you know, the space itself would be varying the ground plane treatment. It looks like right now it's just broom finished concrete sidewalk. So pavers, or if not pavers, at least perhaps exploring varying the jointing pattern of the gathering spaces to suggest that people should linger in these spaces. I would recommend. What else? I think it's great to see trying to, you know, increase the tree canopy coverage as much as possible. It looks like to me the parking lot between building A and building B could be reorganized. It's quite a large amount of paving between the two parking bays. And I think that area could be looked at how to reduce the drive aisle between those two and increase that planting, or perhaps more of a gathering area between those areas. And the very least, more planting area to add some trees. It looks like the planters are so narrow there, as I've seen, you haven't added any, you know, tree coverage in that area. What else? Yeah, I think the planting palette looks really nice, and it's great to see the integration of public art. The first concept looks really exciting. I think that's it. I think my only other thought would be the concern of the loading bay on the plaza. I don't know enough about it, but I think as we, you know, look to activating them more, concerned about, you know, what that looks like, or how do you stop people from just parking there and using the units. I think sometimes we find it in theory, it works really well, and in practicality, people end up parking there and using it as a loading bay. And so I would suggest, if possible, through the rearrangement of perhaps that parking lot, that loading bay space could be pushed elsewhere, so it's not part of that public plaza space. And those are all my comments. This looks great.
Thank you, Kate. Jessica, would you please proceed?
Hi, sorry, technology. Thank you for the presentation. It was it's a very impressive development. I like the modern and minimal aesthetic. I think it works well with the neighborhood, which is got a real good mix of residential, commercial, and light industrial. So I really appreciate the aesthetic and lots of thoughtful design elements. I like the geometry of the space and how that was, and the landscaping patterns. I think it all works really well. And details with the units with private patios and balconies and screening. So lots of great elements to the building. Thank you. My only comments sort of mirror the staff comments. And one of them was consider a pedestrian connection from the primary site entrance through the site and from surface parking areas. As someone who's directionally challenged, I get lost all the time in the inner workings of these multi-building residential units. And it looks like there is very minimal concrete pedestrian sidewalks, as I can see on the site plan, which don't actually connect all of the buildings on the interior part. There was the great slide that was shown with some dotted lines on it about where you would like pedestrians to walk. But I feel like it could be confusing for residents and public trying to access the different buildings to wander aimlessly with baby carts and families and dogs on leashes through the different parking stall areas. So if it's not reasonable to add more pedestrian only concrete sidewalks, maybe could be a way to highlight pathways that would encourage foot traffic through different areas, because I just feel like if that upper parking lot is used a lot, which in Nanaimo people seem to have a lot of cars, that there could be conflict between pedestrians and vehicles. So I would like to see more intentional pedestrian pathways on the surface, connecting the buildings and to the different areas between the buildings. And the other staff comment was emphasizing the building facade design and adding features to ensure the building entrance areas. Again, sometimes with these buildings, it is difficult to identify exactly where you're supposed to enter the building. And so I think that that comment alone, just having it be very clear where the public entrances are to the buildings, because on the renderings, I found it a little difficult to identify exactly where those were and how they were separated from other building elements. And my last comment was about the public art, which is amazing. And perhaps within that southwest public area, if it were located more towards the street corner, then it could be more visible to people who are not in that plaza. I guess where I see it located right now, depending on the landscape design and the maturity of the plantings, it could really be overshadowed from the sort of the property line in the intersection of Boxwood and Northfield. It's a very busy intersection, and hopefully there'll be lots of more people on bicycles and pedestrian traffic, and it would be nice to be able to see that public art without having to actually enter the plaza. So if it were possible to move that within maybe that area so it had better visibility, that would be a benefit, I think. So that's it for my feedback. I just had one question regarding Evo. There's been conversation around the car share. I've been really impressed to see people in Nanaimo using the bicycles and scooters. Is there an option or location to have the Evo scooters and bike shares present on this development as well?
Yeah, I'll just speak to that very quickly. We've only had very high level conversations with Evo about that because we did inquire just specifically with the new bike lanes. So nothing as of yet, but who knows? So stay tuned.
So you have, would you say then that you're more in line with having the cars there versus the alternative forms of transportation?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I think that I see people using the Evo bicycles and scooters all the time in Nanaimo, and that would be a huge benefit to a development like this to have that accessible right in the space. Thank you. Again, great presentation. Thank you very much. That's it for my comments.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Jessica. Now, last but not least, my comments. First of all, thank you for your presentation. I really love that you guys used a brownfield site. Nanaimo is just full of beauty, and a lot of times the development happens right on top of it. And so it's nice to have a site that's, I mean, it's complicated because it is an old mine site. And I know you guys had to deal with a lot of issues regarding parking and things like that because of it. But I really commend you on the siting and how you've handled it with everything. So just moving on to form and character, I do agree with the staff comments regarding making the entrances more prominent. And then the additional comment of maybe adding a rooftop amenity to the townhouse units, like if it's one long building like that and not separate, kind of more separate suites, it might be beneficial, especially for families which would be occupying those townhomes. There's not really a place for kids to kind of run around without pinching into sidewalks and potentially bike and other traffic. So it's kind of nice to have a place where you can contain them, but outdoors, which is nice. The other comment that I had was actually covered by everybody else. So I'm very pleased about that. And so I think that's, yeah. Okay, yep. So, yeah, that's everything from me. And that's, so let's move forward with the recommendations. First of all, I'm counting 13 recommendations. One is consider having more 3-bedroom units in buildings A and B. 2, consider neutral tones to match adjacent buildings. And by the way, for the panel members, please correct me if I'm getting any of these wrong, and if you'd like to jump in. It's the first time chairing this. So, yeah. So number 2, more neutral tones to match adjacent buildings in the facade. 3, consider a more residential feel of the townhomes. And one of the ways Harry mentioned was maybe stepping the parapets of the townhomes. I'm not sure if you had some other ideas, Harry, that you wanted to attach to that. Okay. And 4 is more programming for the plaza, considering maybe community gardens, also maybe a varying ground plane treatment or jointing patterns. Okay, number 5 was about bike parking. So consider more bike parking, 2-point connection bike parking, ensure that that is in place. And bike covering or overhangs where the bikes are stored. 6, consider adding a commercial space. 7, consider increasing tree coverage. 8, reorganize parking to reduce the drive aisle. And 9, in doing so, maybe relocate the loading bay. Okay. 10, connect all buildings and adjacent programming with pedestrian pathways. 11, consider highlighting the building entrances. 12, for the public art in the southwest area, consider locating it more towards the street corner. Okay, 13, consider rooftop amenity for the townhouse units. Okay, and then a potential 14th one, I just wanted to check in again with Hector. Did you want to add anything specific about the facades facing the plazas, or did you want to leave that out? Just wanted to confirm with you.
I think you can leave it out. I think the idea of retail addresses some of my concerns, and also the public art on the southwest corner. So that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I'm not hearing any strong objections to the variances, so I think we'll probably put our support behind the variance there. Just as a comment from me, I think with the car share and all the other modes of transportation that are accessible in that site, even if we reduce the couple, maybe, I'm not sure how the city would feel about that, but just to expand the plazas or make them a little bit more central would be nice as well. So that's just another thought. Okay, so I think that's 13 recommendations. Did I miss anything? Okay, so can I have a motion to accept the project as presented with these 13 recommendations, as well as support for the variance, parking variance? Okay, Angie? Seconder? Harry? Okay, and all in favor? Okay, great. Okay, I don't believe we have any other business this evening, so if I could have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Okay, Harry, seconder, Alex. Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Take care, everyone.